quite into the seafood scene, then shout out Mijalisco, another restaurant that Carla owns. She's just a juggernaut in her own way. And, we have BLM in the building, so we want to give a shout out to Mola Foods, a Black-owned restaurant. And, boy, when we tried it, man, it was her seasoning, her spices. And shout out to the Black Lives Matter team because we move as a unit here at First Gen Multimedia. So I want to welcome Jordan Thompson, and we have Sam. Sam, how are you? And your last name?
Serales.
Sam Serales. Sam is kind of a juggernaut in her own scene, behind the scenes, but I met her one time. I saw that was happening at the school board meetings in North, and I was like, no, hold on. If you guys are going through something, we're all going through something. Jordan, what can I do? Oscar, you just need to show up. And I was like, get people out there. And that's when I met you, Sam. And it was a privilege and an honor to know you guys and to fight these efforts together. What has Black Lives Matter been up to recently?
Well, recently we've been kind of doing more behind the scenes work, given that COVID cases were so high. So we weren't doing quite as many in-person events, meetings, things like that. But we're still trying to be involved, highlighting different Black-owned businesses during Black History Month, and then working on a bunch of different projects, including now joining with you guys and working on a little podcast of our own, which is going to be super cool. And I don't want to say like little, like it is a big deal.
It's major.
It's little in that it's just us working on it, and
but with an impact.
Yes,
because you
small
guys
team, big impact.
Exactly. That we believe that here.
Yeah,
we believe that here. So, Sam, how did you get involved with Black Lives Matter? I know I've been seeing you at some of the rallies. You know, you're out there, you're loud, you're vibrant, and you're explosive at the same time. So, like, what are we doing? You know, and I see Jordan, and I see you, just like I see me and Jasmine, and what are the movements that have been impactful for you thus far?
Yeah. So way back, what seems like eons ago now, in the light of the George Floyd murder, I saw that there was a rally being held in Manchester, and I was like, oh my God, this is exactly the kind of thing I need to be at. And so I went, dragged a whole bunch of my friends with me, got my sister there, and Black Lives Matter Manchester was already up and running, and I live in Merrimack, so I was kind of like, okay, like I could join Manchester because I'm close, but what else is out there? And then a mutual friend shared a post that Jordan had made talking about starting up a chapter in Nashua, and that he was going to lead a Zoom meeting to talk about it. And I said, okay, I have to be there. So I got on it, and there was just talking going back and forth. And I said, well, I have experience with social media, with leading stuff. I served on the New Hampshire Legislative Youth Advisory Council for a while. Like, I have skills that are just kind of sitting here, and like I want to be able to use them for this effort. And so Jordan said, "Cool, you want to speak at the rally next week?" And I said,
"Put him on the fire." I like it.
Yeah, and I said, "Well, you know what? Yes, I will clear my schedule for this." And so that's kind of how it started. We had a bunch of different, titles and stuff going around. Like I was communications for a while, but after a while we realized everybody kind of does everything on our team. So organizer covers everything.
Right.
So I'm an organizer with Black Lives Matter Nashua now. And we've been, leading rallies and having community organizing sessions and just trying to kind of cover all sides of the Black experience here in New Hampshire. We rally together when there's an unfortunate issue of police brutality or whatever, but we also want to celebrate and center Black joy and businesses and experiences. And so that's what our upcoming podcast is going to do more of, as well as just continue to promote the work that we're doing, our mutual aid funds and all the sort of things that we do to give back.
Right. Amazing. And Jordan, how has it been, having Sam and the team and, with the impact and moving BLM Nashua forward?
It's been great. Like, Sam, you're right here. So Sam is...
We got to give him the flowers sometimes when they're in front of us.
I know. Like, I simply couldn't do this work alone. Yeah. And having Sam on this team is like having another me, and like in so many different ways because we are so similar and we have so many shared interests. And I think we're both Sagittarius.
Yes.
Yeah. Which like can cause some headbutting sometimes.
Yeah, I was gonna say we definitely have butted heads, but I
Right.
think it made us better.
It did make us better friends and better colleagues
Yeah.
because we just like we have very strong personalities.
I'm married to a Sagittarius, so I know exactly.
Do
how
all
it
the
is.
things.
Right. But she's just been really amazing to like learn from over the past 2 years now. We've been working together for 2 years now, and just like an incredible comrade and teammate. So I'm just incredibly like grateful constantly. Is a lot more. I think a lot more creative than I am.
Yeah.
So I tend to like kind of sometimes be limited in my creativity, and she like pushes it and is like, okay, like let's think about this outside of the box, and like kind of challenges my own perspective, and that is just really, really like beneficial to the entire chapter, but also to both of our professional development as well.
Have you guys reached some goals that have been set within Black Lives Matter? I know that sometimes we build out of like enthusiasm and inspiration and moment and impact, right? How do we and have you set those goals like, okay, 6 months from now this is what we want the impact to be within our community with this organization?
I think sometimes we've set monetary goals in terms of like if we're giving back, specifically for like every holiday season, we like to really identify the most vulnerable people in our community and like make really specific efforts to give back to them. I think from the beginning, I remember when I was kind of creating like that first rally in Greeley Park, which is like when we came together for that and we put that together, that is the largest racial justice event that has ever been put on in Nashua's history. I think my only goal, and I think our only goal, was we wanted to make a statement and shift the conversation about racial justice in Nashua. And this was around the same time that First Gen, was starting up because of what had happened across the street. And so there were so many different avenues that we could use to address that issue. There were so many different people that were speaking up and saying, I am someone that belongs in this community and you can't take that from me. So I think contributing to that overall narrative was probably the biggest goal that we've had since the very beginning. And I think that in many ways we've accomplished that. I think it's hard to measure that, but I certainly think that we are here to stay. We've made it pretty clear that we're here to stay. And yeah, I think that's it.
Absolutely. That's impactful. I mean, we feel so much of the strive because we're going through the same paths, right? And sometimes we feel like at those moments we're looking back and we're like, well, it felt like we chewed more than we can swallow, but we are still moving forward,
Yeah, and I think a lot of the conversations we've been having more recently has just been about sustainability and making sure that like we're able to serve the community without ourselves getting burnt out. As well. And I think that, looking to bring in new voices, which we are doing, please join us. But looking to bring in new voices and just figuring out new ways to reach out to the community and connect with more community partners such as you guys is so huge for us. And that's going to help keep us going further and setting new goals. I think this podcast is something we've been talking about for a really, really long time. And so to be able to get it up off the ground now and work with you guys is going to be really, really awesome.
The sustainability factor is something that I really want to touch on because when I first had in my mind that we needed a Black Lives Matter chapter in Nashua, I did not ever actually intend to lead that. I just wanted the say, if you don't see something already being done, then create it,
Exactly.
Don't just, stand around being, oh my goodness, why doesn't my community have this? You have the power to create it, so do that.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I did, and I think that's what we did. But when I think about the sustainability, I never thought 2 years ago that we would be here 2 years later,
still in COVID.
That are still ongoing and still happening like every day. I didn't think that we would still be in this very similar situation than we were 2 years ago. So that has always been a challenge of, okay, now we are really in this and there's no turning back. What does sustainability look like? And I can speak for myself, but I know that you've had a similar experience. We're like 23 years old. And in many cases, we've been doing things for ourselves and being carefree. And we've had to carry this massive burden on our shoulders of being leaders in this community. And it's a privilege.
Sometimes our community thinks, well, no, they're doing great. They're getting the recognition that they deserve, but they don't see the challenges in the background. They don't see the doors being shut, the false promises, the tokenism, and everything that's happening. And here we go. We have to be careful, have a perfect balance. Don't come as a victim, or don't come too prideful because your egos, because
It's
you
the
have
tone
the platform.
policing.
Yeah.
So much of it.
Right. And we can't move forward if we're not helping and we're not standing side by side with Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter first, then us as Latinos, because they go through it harder than we do. We can code switch.
And even
We can code switch. We have that. Jasmine talks about it all the time. She goes, that white passage or that.
Well, because I'm a white passing Latina,
Yeah.
and I know how to code switch enough to make myself palatable, but that's as a survival skill, quite honestly.
Right, right.
But there's so many Latinos of African descent that we can't leave behind as well.
That's
There's
true,
so
too.
many Black members of the Latinx community.
What's the gentleman that lives in Pembroke? Yuri?
Yenny?
And he talks about it all the time. He holds us accountable. He's like, yeah, we Latinos in vivo, we move as a unison, but we don't talk within our community about the racism that he goes through within our own community. And because he's Afro Latino.
Right.
And he gets harassed all the time. He was just at a gas station speaking about this in Pembroke. And he's from Cuba. He has not a document. They took his passport, but he has a piece of paper. He left it at home. Imagine coming around. There's a piece of paper as your ID. It says, "No, I'm okay." The government says I'm here for now.
Mind you, he is 60 in his 60s, so he's definitely you can see he's older.
He's 30. He's 35. Yenny's 35.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
My bad.
yeah. He just has that deep voice.
That'll do it.
Yeah, and speaking about deep voices, Faustin, that movement with his company, and I said to ourselves, there's an opportunity to be able to help implement all of our community leaders. If we have something that's sustaining, why not rinse and repeat it and give it back? And then all of a sudden, that's a great idea. Why don't you guys become a nonprofit? Whoa, hold on. Wait a minute. Let's focus on being able to self-sustain ourselves. I love what you guys are doing. Have you ever thought about joining forces so that we have networks of the cool kids club that will give you the validation that you deserve in order for us to reach your community?
Yeah.
All the time.
Yep.
Let's talk about what what the month of February means to BLM, because there's a lot of propaganda out there. Hold on a minute. It's February.
The theatrical February.
Yeah, hold on a minute. If you go to Target, we have a section.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
We have a section for you.
to quote Whitney Houston, we're gonna need a longer month. Black History Month is great for the ceremonial and other purposes, but we do the work of celebrating our culture and our history and our future year round. And that's what we really encourage people to support us year round. Don't just make your performative donation on February 1st and then never again. Support us year round. We're doing this work year round.
Yeah, I saw a really good meme go around. It's the Norman Osborn meme from whatever Spider-Man he was in. But it's the, I'm something of a scientist myself, except that it's corporations during February saying I'm something of an African-American myself. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And we know that.
Right.
And we know that all this stuff is going to go on clearance on February 28th. We know that.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of like a balancing act to, not be performative. There are some companies, to their credit, who do try to amplify Black voices and Black businesses, all year long. They are few and far between. And so, having this month be more than just, a time to make your little tweet and go.
Right.
And then, to have many failures in terms of cultural appropriation, in terms of just not getting it happening during February. The irony is not lost on us. And so just keeping all those things in mind and as a person on the outside, not just supporting the big business that's posting about Black History Month, find a Black-owned business. And we do have a list of Black-owned businesses on all of our social media that people can look at that are here in New Hampshire and Maine and close.
Yeah. We would love to put a BLM tab on our website if you guys
really
want.
Sweet.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
You know, because
And we should feature you guys too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it looks like we're starting our own BIPOC Chamber of Commerce
There
here.
we go, there we go.
Congratulations. Okay.
But that's the thing, I really would hate to see some of these Black-owned businesses be supported just in February, and then they really ramp up and get all their product and do whatever they need to do for their year-long projections, and then they don't sell their stuff. I went into Mola Foods the other day, and I was talking to the owner.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting her name. My goodness. Well, I was
Jasmine, help us here.
right. It's
La Fortune.
There we go. The Fortune. And I was talking to her, and she was saying, we actually haven't gotten much business at all. And that's why we did that.
Speak about that.
Yeah. And that's why we did that sort of social media giveaway. It's we can't sit here and pretend like we support Black-owned businesses here in Nashua. We have to actually do that. And it broke my heart to hear from her that she said, I don't really feel supported here. Well, and for the stuff that she has, I mean, I'm vegan. She has a ton of plant-based stuff.
Absolutely.
She has a ton of vegan stuff. She has a ton of spices and seasonings and amazing things in her shop. Go support that. Go eat that in March. Go eat that in April.
She's also super knowledgeable. Like I remember her explaining to me about the spices, and she was like, "You don't have to change the way you cook; just add it in."
Right.
And so I was like, "That's so simple." I mean, if you're looking for something new and different, and you don't want to go out, and you can just buy a spice from Mola Foods.
And that's 9 Simon Street. I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's just down the street.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's so wonderful. To see that kind of celebration of culture in our community. It needs to be amplified. People cannot just show up a few days in February and then call it quits. We need to support that year round.
We were talking to the Chamber of Commerce. I'm gonna go in. I don't care. We're talking to the Chamber of Commerce, and we were talking to the Chuck, their sales rep, their guy. I don't care, Jasmine. I don't care. And we sat down, and they were like, "We are gonna include, and we want it different." And these are the old fat cats that are constantly just like the cool kids club. Hey, I see you there, bud. Nice organization, nice business. Let's do a fundraiser. Let's do a putt. Let's support each other. Let me connect you with so and so. Right? We don't have that. So now we're starting to approach that, and are like, we don't need you. You need us. Right? We don't need you. You need us. Because all I'm hearing is I can connect you. Well, great. That's great. But how many of us more are there? And how many of us more are we going to replicate from that?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the system is not broken, but it's just not working anymore, it's time for a new system. Right? It's time for a new system, time to revise it, because the old playbooks that you guys are pulling out, and the foot soldiers on the ground that are recognizing all these white businesses within our community. What about us?
Yeah.
You as same as Mola, I see Vinny, Lounge 38. He's struggling. And let's hold each other accountable. We as much as we say, hey, go visit Lounge 38. How many of us in our community have a business? We're gonna be transparent. We run a media company. We run multiple shows, but the business is surviving. We're not thriving. We're not. Hey, Jasmine, let's go get a Lamborghini. No, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like we are our own networks working with our own hub, and then we might. Thank you, 603 Diversity Business New Hampshire. And by the way, I see the next edition right here in front of me. I see Black Lives Matter edition for quarter number 2. Rick, get on that. Eduardo, Ernesto, get on that.
Your issue
Ronnie's
is very,
there too.
very beautiful. The photography, the storytelling.
Yeah.
Shout out to Robert. Be careful though, because he might come at you with a big. No, I'm just kidding.
Bring it.
I appreciate the recognition. When Rick reached out and he was, he did a shadow with us, and I said, listen, 603 Diversity, how many editors are in from our community, from the Black and brown community? Oh, that's a good question. I was like, there's an opportunity for my partner to jump in, because we have a business owner that we know that we can highlight, because we highlight our own stories. We see what you're doing.
You're saying for this publication called 603 Diversity,
right,
there are not many diverse people on staff.
If we look at the issue, they're starting to get more. I mean, we noticed that Ernesto is first generation American, and we appreciate that, but they're starting to turn their gears and noticing that there's an opportunity. But I spoke to them and I said,
in means of hiring more people that are not usually given the opportunity.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, it's in the name.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So we're holding them accountable.
Yeah.
So he's and I appreciate Ernesto.
Hi, I just finished a 4-year journalism degree.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So what you're saying is we have the next edition, and then Sam can do an article with another Black owned business.
Right.
With
Yeah.
And then they can pay her to do that article.
That's right.
Oh,
Please,
absolutely.
That'd be so nice.
Right.
What, you don't think Jasmine's
Correct.
getting a check?
That's
Correct.
right.
Exactly.
Well, you don't
And
think we don't? Come
I know
on
that's
now.
right.
You don't think we're getting a check? Come on now, man. Like,
And that's the thing. I talk about this all the time. Is like, it's great to have people who have these beautiful degrees and like they have direct connection to the community, but they're not usually given the opportunity because of lack of experience, this and that. There's always like a roadblock as to why someone can't just coach us, teach us how to be in those positions of
no. But we're already doing that, Jasmine. Hey, wait a minute. We can show you, and then we can go back into your community and show them.
right.
But wait a minute. They're not going to trust you. You're not going to easily approach them. Guess what? That didn't work for the mayor. Guess what happened? I feel like every time, I don't want to. Jasmine says, "Be careful. Don't go on a tangent. Because I don't want you to repeat yourself over and over. It sounds like a sad song all the time. But these are the things that are happening that nobody will never know about.
Well, I always say, like we did on Love Lessons with Latina on Thursday, is that it's very often we're trying to create band-aids for these situations, and it's usually us who have the solutions.
Yeah.
And we come up with solutions, and that they're there, but we just still continue to choose band-aids.
I
Yeah.
appreciate her. She's learned so much. That selfless plug. Love Lessons with Latina.
Yeah, but no,
Well,
you're
listen.
right. It's the quick fixes and the patches, and over time, the wall's gonna crumble. It's
Right.
like if you were actually interested in sustainability in terms of this, and not just a quick fix, this is not the action you'd be taking. I will say that sometimes I think it is just not knowing what you don't know, but at the
Right.
same time, we're telling you
Yeah. What we need.
that this isn't going to work,
Right.
and I feel like you're not listening.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like you're not listening on purpose.
It's microaggression. Yeah, that microaggression.
Yeah.
That
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. So, tell us some of the things that Black Lives Matter is going through right now that hasn't shed the light, that needs the light to serve. The platform is yours. Speak about it.
I think the biggest thing that we're going through
let's
now
go.
is this sustainability issue.
Yeah.
Like we've been at this for 2 years now. We are 23 years old, and we're trying to sustain a movement in a state where the system is not set up for
us.
our kind of work to be sustained in the long term. And what we've seen actually is a sort of sense of betrayal from people who we thought were our allies, who were supposed to be showing up for us and in our movement. And it feels like sort of abandonment. It feels like people only care about Black Lives Matter when someone has been shot on camera and they can't avoid it.
Yeah, keywords on camera.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like the efforts that we're going through right now, and doors being shut. What about organizations? Have you reached out to any organizations or corporations within the community that said, yeah, we love what you're doing, but I don't think that's for us?
We've certainly been partnering with a lot of different organizations, and I think that is where the bulk of our strong community relationships are with community partners that are grassroots based.
Yeah, but to your point, there have been definitely doors shut in our face, or ghosting, which happens a lot more often, where it's just like,
What's
we
that?
talk to them. What?
Or
Oh, what's that?
What's ghosting?
We have the
Hey,
politicians too.
Oscar, I would love to help you out with that. Okay, cool, thank you.
Radio silence?
Hello. It's been 3 months.
Yeah.
Do you still want to help?
Right.
Hello. It's been 5 months. Do you still? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And then we have the politicians. We have the folks that were
Yeah.
huge supporters in 2020 during that summer of racial justice awakening and reckoning. And now, I mean,
Some of which we worked independently of BLM, but independently as ourselves to help get elected at later times, who have then since just decided to take a very, they think they're being moderate, I suppose. But it's very clear to us that they just don't care about the things that they said in the past, which, I mean, should make all of their constituents nervous, but it especially makes us nervous to the point where it's like, all right, well, we got to start looking for, to bring in new blood. I mean, in Merrimack, where I live, alone, the only Democratic rep who made it through the last election was one of the many people who did not stand up for us in the very recent controversy, which I don't know if we're going to have time to get into. But
we got time.
Oh, we got time?
Okay.
All right.
Where do you want to start? Where do you want to start?
Let's start
Speak
peeling
about
the
it.
layers.
Let's stop at the beginning.
So, if we're starting at the beginning with this recent controversy
go ahead.
around Representative Nicole Klein-Knight of Manchester, so there is a young man who I'm not going to say his name on here because his name has been dragged through the mud enough, and he's 18 years old. He's a young man who works with an organization. He's not hired by, but works with an organization that we partnered with many times called Rights and Democracy.
Oh,
They're
boy.
a wonderful organization. They are like our comrades. We do a lot of really great work with them.
No, I get that. But we have our own. I get that. But did they protect them? Did they help them?
So I gotta get
I'm
through
going-
this.
I'm going
I gotta
in.
get through
We
this.
got to go through the
I
beginning.
gotta get through
Okay,
it.
okay.
So this young man, 18
Yeah.
years old, he's a freshman in college. He goes up to the State House and he's testifying on some important legislation free of charge as a volunteer, as he typically does. There has been a lot of controversy at the State House over the past several months now. The full context is around accusations of anti-Semitism from Jewish members of the Democratic Caucus and supporters of a Palestinian state. We support the Free Palestine movement. We believe that it is not inherently anti-Semitic to support Palestine.
Right.
That is like those people's homes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So beyond that, in this particular case, this young man is approached, has conversation with Representative Nicole Klein-Knight, who is a Jewish member of the House of Representatives.
Which was a supporter of Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
At the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Supposedly so. Over the
Okay.
past 2 years,
Right.
has shown up to our rallies, etc.
And we've posted before in support of them when there was anti-Semitic graffiti, other
Right.
places like we've.
Right. Right.
That's been there.
That's been there.
Just
now,
to be clear.
Just to be clear, in this situation, this conversation around Palestine and anti-Semitism comes up. In this conversation, Representative Nicole Klein-Knight uses a racial slur, the N-word, in conversation with this young black 18-year-old activist. He is not the first person to use this word. She is. She introduces it into the conversation. She uses it several times. He's like, okay, that was uncalled for.
In what context? Like, she was explaining something?
My understanding is that, they're having this conversation around anti-Semitism and Palestine, and basically this young man is saying it is not anti-Semitic to support Palestine. And the context is that she said something to the effect of, if somebody called you the N-word, then you would know that they were being racist.
Come on.
Comparing the two as if there's any comparison here. There is none.
Ignorance is bliss.
Correct. So they go back into the State House. There's this...
This was outside the State House. They were having like a conversation.
Yes. And so they go into the State House. There's this exchanging of words. This member, Nicole Klein-Knight, she doubles down on the word that she uses it again. She's combative with this 18-year-old. It gets sort of like into this heated conversation. She tries to call security on him. It's just an entire mess. So here's the deal. This goes down a couple of weeks ago.
We're not equals now. Here comes my white privilege.
Right. And
Yeah,
so,
and I mean, calling security in the New Hampshire State House on an 18-year-old black man,
Yeah.
where was your head at?
Right.
Just
Where?
not there. But to really add insult to injury here. So after this situation happens, this young man is obviously distraught, and understandably so, like reasonably so.
Scared for your life now.
Right, right. not only that, but you have a sitting lawmaker who thinks it's okay to use the full N word in any context that is not okay as a white person,
Yeah.
but thinks it's okay to do this to prove a point. Okay, didn't need to be used at all. We have members of the BIPOC community reach out to her because folks have worked with her. She has presented herself as an ally. Folks have worked with her, and we believe in like accountability,
Right.
but as a community, you know, I personally don't believe that cancel culture is a thing, but I never want to be someone who, you know, contributes to a kind of culture that shames people because they had one off moment or because they said something out of context, or, you know, I believe in giving people a second chance, giving people an opportunity to explain themselves. But instead of explaining herself or apologizing, like she should have just apologized in the first place, she doubled down, she triples down.
What?
She gets super defensive. She starts accusing Rights and Democracy of anti-Semitism, like completely unwarranted. There's no factual basis to that. And
wasn't, I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
and wasn't she part of this organization, Rights
she
and
was.
Democracy?
Rights
Yeah.
and Democracy had endorsed her several times for office.
Several
She
times.
had no problem accepting the endorsement, but now all of a sudden they're anti-Semites. It doesn't make any sense.
You know, this is what I don't get. We give you a seat at our table. We give you a seat. We break bread with you. We have conversations. Carlos Cardona has reached out.
Right.
Sebastian's reached
Right.
out. Right.
Right.
And all of a sudden now you like it's like, for example, if I say, God forbid, if I say something out of context over an organization that we're hand by hand battling, you guys are our brothers and sisters here at Fresh and Multimedia.
We're gonna talk
Let's speak.
about it.
Let's
Right.
talk. I'm gonna have a phone call with you.
Right.
I'm gonna invite you in and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I was out of line, Jordan. I'm sorry.
And that's what folks tried to do. People tried to call
I
her
heard.
in, tried to have these conversations, say, hey, like this was messed up. Like,
Yeah.
let's talk about it. She blocked
Accountability.
people. She ignored people. She lashed out at people. She gaslit people. And so after like several days of doing this,
Yeah.
that was when we decided as a group that we needed to put out this letter because the private accountability had not worked.
Right.
We had tried many different avenues to address this in a way that was about compassion and grace, and she was unresponsive and openly combative. So we put out this letter, and it was published in all of these different outlets, basically outlining this process of what had happened, outlining that it was never okay in any context for a white person to use the N-word, that you should never feel comfortable doing that, and that, you know, this was a situation where we tried to get private accountability, it didn't work, so now we're calling on her community partners to provide that accountability and call her in.
Right. So me, you know, I wasn't at the State House that day. I wasn't part of the letter, but I have read everything that's happened, you know, and so I'm seeing this and I'm like, this seems reasonable. No one likes writing these kind of letters.
Right.
You know, I know a lot of the people who were involved with it. Like, I know that there was absolutely no happiness. There's no schadenfreude. Like, there's no part of this that's, you know, a good thing. Right.
Let's rally together and ruin somebody's life.
Exactly.
No,
No
that
one
was
wants to
never-
do that.
Right.
You know, but there has to be accountability when these kind of things happen. Then don't a whole bunch of Democratic state reps decide in their mind that their way of processing this is not by reaching out to the BIPOC folks who had their names signed to this letter and asking, hey, how can we support you? Or, hey, help me understand the situation better. I don't understand it, which is always a wonderful way to go.
Absolutely.
Instead,
Those
they
are true allies.
Exactly. And those are how I would expect elected adult officials to act. Instead, they decide that they're going to focus on the context of Representative Klein Knight's words and say, oh, well, what was the context of her using the N-word in full? Was she quoting song lyrics? Excuse me?
What?
Oh my
What?
God.
Who?
Outside
Are
of
you
the State
serious?
House, who is just out there rapping a song, I guess, like as a non-black person to a black act. Like,
Yeah.
this is not what happens
Right.
in what universe. And so, and they continue to go in on this. They ask, they say, oh, the N-word is never okay, but sorry, you lost me right there.
Right.
There is when you should have got off Twitter.
Right.
You shouldn't have tweeted that to begin with.
Right.
They
Shouldn't
were
have thought it to
hiding.
begin
They
with.
were hiding behind private Facebook groups. They were hiding on email chains, and they were saying some really. Here's the thing that I really want to address here. They were saying some really disrespectful things about the people that signed that letter, and in particular, we have Representative Casey Conley from Dover, who in a private Facebook comment, or he thought was private,
Yeah.
but we got eyes everywhere.
Come on, guys.
Disparaging
Everything
us
always
and
comes to
putting
light.
quotes around the words activist in reference to us, as if our work is to be belittled now because you don't like the way that we handled something, implying that we were not professional, that we were not adults because we released this letter, that we had an axe to grind against her.
All this is tone policing. And when you discredit the people who have said this by using the air quotes, like all you need to do is Google Jordan's name, Google anyone's name and put NH next to it. And scores of articles will come up about the work that they've done. You can't just discredit it like that.
And one thing about me is I'm not going to tolerate the disrespect. I know that we work too damn hard for this community, for communities across this state, for somebody who just goes up to Concord to play politics and is chasing his own political ambition above all else, to sit here and disrespect me and disrespect the hard work that I put in every single day on behalf of Black and brown people because you don't like the way that we called out your racist coworker. That's not going to fly.
Right.
Exactly. And then this keeps going. It keeps spiraling. Now you have Democratic reps who are in Twitter, in Facebook comments, in whatever, deciding to double and triple down, just continuing the same behavior that got Representative Klein Knight in this to begin with, doubling and tripling down on why they are trying to figure out the context, the source, the reasoning. I said, you know what? If I had, let's say that the State House is a neighborhood, right? If I had a next door neighbor who I thought was a little too interested in the work of, say, Charles Manson, I would not be interested in learning why they were copying Charles Manson. I would just be saying, I don't want to be involved with this. And I don't know why you, neighbor across the street, are okay with this.
Right.
Why do you need to source out the reason why they're interested in this? You don't need to know. What you need to do is get away from it, tell somebody, and then say, this next door neighbor needs to move. That's what you need to be doing. And I don't understand why there was such a fascination with learning this. You're not a Black and brown person. We are telling you that this is a hurtful word. We are telling you that now the further discourse over this is reductive and disrespectful.
Right.
And instead of listening to us, you are still doubling and tripling down. And then when I say, all right, one of those people who was doubling and tripling down on sourcing out the context was one of my state representatives who I worked very hard to get elected. When I say, I'm not going to tolerate this, and so therefore I'm launching a group in Merrimack to help find more progressive candidates to run, then they're going to say, oh my God, I have this group that's now attacking me and trying to oust me. I'm sorry, you did that to yourself.
Right.
My
And
God,
somebody
I
needs
hate
to stand
that.
up to that. And I said nothing to her, still haven't. I just said, okay, that relationship is closed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother with it. But she is now playing the victim, which is again centering her whiteness.
But come on, are we?
It's white fragility.
Yeah, like are we
Right.
not? Come on, like
We're
don't
not-
we not see this?
we're not
new to.
surprised.
We're not new to this.
We're not surprised,
We're
but
not-
we're disappointed.
It's
Of
like, and
course.
during Black History Month?
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Because what this really shows is that all of those Democrats that came out, Casey Conley had a Black Lives Matter sign on his front lawn, and now he's saying that we're activists, saying that we're unprofessional adults.
Oh.
Okay, this,
Yeah,
this is
you guys
just-
can't see this,
Remember
but
what
Jordan
I've
is
always
making air
said?
quotes.
Whatever. I've always said that, like, when people get intimidated by us speaking out, they always say, you're being really unprofessional right now.
Or you're being too aggressive.
Or you're not mature professionally.
Which is like
Where's-
the most giant microaggression
Right.
ever.
Where
It's
is-
It's
like,
a macroaggression.
It is a macroaggression. You're right.
Like-
It's a macroaggression.
what's next? Saying my hair isn't professional?
Yeah,
Right.
Like,
it's literally that that moment where we decide, okay, I'm not going to code switch anymore. I'm
Right.
just going to say it how it is.
It's
and
just racism.
Yeah, literally.
And so just to finish this up, I don't want to, because I know we got time. But so it took 2 weeks to get an apology from Nicole Klein Knight.
let's not use the word
I know, I'm
apology.
getting
I was
her-
about to
That's
say.
too nice to the word
Far
far
apology.
too much credit. But she released what she thought was an apology, and it just shifted all the responsibility
Jasmine,
onto the
pull
young
that
man.
up. Can we pull
It
that
was-
up?
Yeah, please do. If you can
Pull that up.
probably, oh my God, where would you be able to find it? I think it's
I
on-
retweeted it.
Yeah.
Hold on, I think I might be able to pull
But
it
then
up.
I also retweeted a whole bunch
It's
of other things. You might have to
basically
scroll.
something to the effect of like pushing the accountability onto the young man and saying that she was just repeating what he said, which is a lie. She is
Oh, I
a
got it right
liar.
here.
You got it?
Do you want me to
Please read it.
Yeah.
Please do.
It
Please
says, Mr. Jonah Wheeler, I realized it was wrong for me to use the racist slur that you said. I immediately regretted it and agree that no one should be using that language, and I apologize from the bottom of my heart for the pain it has caused. If you ever want to have a discussion with me about this, I will be more than happy to do so. Don't hesitate to reach out.
Full stop right there. Okay, so I tweeted about this, and I said I did not expect much from an apology, and there are air quotes around that. I did not expect much, but it's the part where it's reach out to me about the issues that I caused to you.
Right.
That really, everyone knows that I work with preschoolers now, right? Everyone knows that a good apology says, this is what I did. I am sorry, and here's how I'm going to make it better. That's what I teach the
And
3
never
and
do that
4-year-olds
again.
every day.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not just, say you're sorry and walk away. It's not say you're sorry and with your,
But what
your
she's-
eyes away from them. Like, that's not how it works.
Right. What she's done is so insidious because the thing is with this young man, in our letter, we purposefully left his name out of it because we, first of all, there was an ethics committee complaint. We wanted there to be like sort of justice here, making sure that nothing interfered with that. But we also
Defamation
know,
of character.
Right. Right. She put his name out there. She outed him.
Yeah.
So what she did was so insidious because not only did she lie, she leaked his name to the press, and she doubled down on the harm that she already caused. And I think so many, like, there have been so many tangents, like, related to this. And what it comes down to is a young 18-year-old black man went up to the State House to testify on important legislation. This young man is really incredible and powerful. He spoke at our last fundraiser. He's been organizing around racial, social, economic justice for years now. He does a lot of really important work, and a lot of it is volunteer work. We have all these conversations all the time about, we need to support young black organizers. We need to support young people. We need more young people in politics. Why would they get into politics if this is how you're going to treat them?
Right.
Yeah.
This is what you've subjected them to.
Right.
There's already so much in this state that's stacked up against any young voices at all. I mean, let's ignore the fact that you don't get paid enough, which means you're going to have to figure out how to work a job that doesn't pay enough because we hate the idea of raising the minimum wage above barely $8. Like let's forget all of that.
Or paying the BIPOC community what they deserve.
Well, yeah. Let's forget all that. Let's forget the fact that we don't have public transportation, and we're so afraid of public transportation that we can't get that to work well. So you're going to have to get a car to even get to Concord to begin with. Let's forget the fact. Let's forget all that. Let's forget all that. You have people who are 20, 30, 40, 50 years your senior who are going to stand by and let this happen, and worse, discredit you, and even worse, not discredit the people who are making the situation worse for you. Right. Why do you want to subject yourself to that in a state where mental health care is also seriously lacking? Like there's not even a recourse to help you with it when it starts to destroy your brain. Like what?
Yeah.
What?
Right.
And then
on top of that,
we're gonna say, but the tone was off or whatever. I'm gonna say whatever I need to say in the tone I want, and it was still professional. Is the thing. That letter that got sent out was so professional. I mean, I'm an English nerd, and I read it so many times, and I was like, I couldn't have said this any better myself.
I don't even think you need to explain yourself.
You really don't.
You know,
you really don't.
And the thing is that we
I'm
feel
so
the
used
need
to
to
doing
have
it.
to exactly. We feel the need to have to explain ourselves to prove that we are professional, that we speak well for ourselves, that we know how to advocate for ourselves.
Yeah, but Jasmine, that's not your background. How can you be professional if you don't come from a professional background?
Oh my goodness. Well, one final thing on this, and then we'll cut it. Is there's a letter that came from the speaker's office just a few days ago because to add so many insults to this injury, she then tried to get Nicole Klein-Knight then tried to get members of Rights and Democracy banned from the State House complex. So not only did she use a racial slur in conversation with a black teenager, not only did she call security on this person who's just testifying on important legislation, not only did she gaslight and lie publicly, not only did she take 2 weeks to put out what she thought was an apology, which is actually just like nonsense, but she also tried to get these people banned from the State House complex.
Meanwhile, Rights and Democracy is one of the organizations that A, had endorsed her, and B, was fighting alongside her with legislation she was putting out for the entire time she'd been elected. Not to mention how that would hurt a bunch of other Democratic issues that were trying to get through the State House.
Listen, I love you guys.
Yeah.
I love you guys. And, I'm hand in hand. But let me ask you about Rights and Democracy. And we've done work with them.
Okay.
where the white allies in Rights and Democracy, did they come out? Did they come out and hold her accountable? Because we follow the chain of command, right? And the white allies will come out and say, "Hey, hold on a minute. If they go in community, we got your backs. Hold on a minute, we got you. Because if they're not gonna listen to you, then they're gonna listen to us. Because if they're talking about white privilege, guess what? We're white too, and we stand with you guys." Where did they come out?
That's a fair point. I think that, I've worked with Rights and Democracy for 4 years now.
Yeah.
I think that there's certainly a lot more that the white folks in that organization can do to support their black and brown colleagues. You have people like Asma and Sebastian that do so much work and show up for so many different people across the state. They do need to be better supported.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We saw that firsthand, and when I heard Rights and Democracy, I don't have nothing against them. We work hand in hand together, but I always see like we're always in the front line. No, protect us.
Yeah.
It's until we have a significant amount of foot soldiers on the ground to be like, we got numbers now.
But that's something that like every white-led nonprofit organization needs to
struggles with.
ACLU of New Hampshire. I'm talking about you. There are so many different white-led organizations that dabble in social justice or make social justice their brand that don't always do the work like that completely 100% of the work that they need to be doing in order to show up for our community. So that's not an issue that is specific to Rights and Democracy, but they're certainly included in that problem.
Yeah, and I think it's important to look at how we can all be better. I mean, we know for our team, we were just talking about like new people we want to bring in, and we were just like, well, we don't have any like. That's not true because we do have Kurt, but we don't have enough Afro-Latina representation, or we don't have, enough Caribbean representation, things like that. So, it's trying to see how we can be better. I just don't know if the conversations of how can we be better are happening enough and as often. I think we should have them more often as a chapter.
Accountability within our own organizations and our own.
100%.
I know.
Yes.
100%. Like, and we're very big about that now that like we come across like other organizations. Like, who's at the top of the chain, and do they reflect the people they're say they're servicing?
Remember 35 minutes ago when I said, we're sustaining, but we're not we're financially stable, but not thriving. We've walked away from money when we've noticed that individuals and companies have come out and reached out and said, hey, you know what? We're your allies. Where's our representatives within your business or in your companies? Oh, you're our allies? Let them speak. Come on up, Maria. Yeah. So, what's your input?
We talk about Maria Perez.
No, not Maria. I'm just using Maria in general as like a Latina name, not Maria Perez.
I
had a conversation.
We love Maria Perez.
I had a conversation with Maria, and we had our disagreements, and agree to disagree. And I had a 15-minute conversation with her this weekend, or maybe 30-minute conversation. I said we need to hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
If you're not doing something right, at the end of the day, if there's something that I don't personally agree with you, that doesn't mean that I'm gonna shun you aside and not stand by you in your efforts.
Yeah.
Our door is always open for you because your efforts are our efforts. Enough with that. Like, oh, she's a Latina, but what she's doing is kind of not what I agree on, so disregard her. Absolutely not.
Right.
Let's be clear.
And let me really be clear. We need more people like Representative Perez. Maria Perez is a gem to this state, this community. She shows up and she is like, sometimes it's just by herself. She shows up in ways that no other state representative in this entire state shows up. We need more people like her.
Did you hear her get summoned to the back of the seating arrangement?
Yeah, that's what they do. They treat her horribly at the state
house. And then all of a sudden, and then she said there was other colleagues, Democrats and Republicans, that saw that act, that there was, I don't know, lawmakers, I don't know exactly, but I told her to come on Wednesday. There was lawmakers that said, go back and sit in the back of the line. These seats, but then she goes and it was like, there's no seating arrangement here.
There's no assigned seats.
There's no assigned seats here. Like, I can sit here. So like, we preferred you to go back. And then she was embarrassed. And I see us. I see you guys when we go out there and we're outnumbered, but we just go out there so brave, and then all of a sudden they use this totalitarian power, if that's how you call it, power to be like, there's not enough for you. Back to the line.
But we have to support those.
And then they giggled and laughed. And then they giggled and laughed at her.
That's so disrespectful.
That's disgusting.
It really is. But we got to support her. We got to support people
Absolutely.
like her because they're very far and few in between. Like we got to support our people.
Listen, we can all learn to disagree, but one thing we can agree on, if we don't come together and unite and stop doing these small, micro, little hubs around and get used as tokens, we're divided more than ever. We need to come together.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Because anything less is letting white supremacy win, which doesn't help anybody.
Absolutely.
Except white supremacists.
Not even white supremacists. Individuals within our community.
Right.
These white directors that are coming in and saying, what does your community need that I can do for you? Right. Forget that. I'm doing it for myself. How can you help us?
Right.
Yeah.
In the way that, don't speak for us.
Right.
I love the with MLKJ just having passed and like all those quotes that got shared. My God.
Some of them being from these racist representatives.
Yes, exactly.
And I was like, why aren't you quoting the one where MLK goes off about white moderates?
Yeah.
Why aren't you posting that one?
Yeah.
Like, that's interesting to me. Or how the New Hampshire Republican Twitter tweeted a Frederick Douglass quote and misspelled his name. It's 2 X's.
How much time we got?
Oh my God.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right.
Okay. Speed
Podcast.
round. Podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're gonna say it in 3.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Wait.
Special announcement.
Yes.
Special
Okay.
announcement.
So we should talk about this. So what we're doing with this new podcast is we are focusing on centering stories from Black New Hampshire residents. Focusing on what brought you here, what's keeping you here, what have you found about here that you love, what changes need to be made, where would you like to see yourself represented more, all of these questions and things that will help Black New Hampshire to feel more connected, because it's so easy to be like, oh my God, I don't even know where the Black people are. And so we've been thinking about this for a really long time. We're super excited to work on it with you, and we're going to reveal the title in
3,
2,
1.
1. Black Granite.
Oh,
I like that.
Thank
Let's go. PLM Nashville, ladies and gentlemen. And listen, I want everybody to hear us clearly. We're not moving as victims. We're moving in a position of power. And what more position of power to talk about our strives and our successes right here on WSMN, which was once, a platform for conservative people that thought that it's okay to, make us seem like we're not. The time is now, and we're united more than ever. What a privilege and an honor to have you guys. You guys are our brother and sister. We love you. Black Lives Matter, Chapter Nashville. And I hope that we hear other people from the Granite State, from other chapters from around the seacoast come into the podcast.
Yeah.
Right here on First Gen Multimedia. So I'm excited. And
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, shout out to all of our sponsors. Thank you for our special guests.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Black Lives Matter, asking for a friend. See you next time.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
USA Radio News with John Hunt.
The Kremlin said there are no concrete plans for a summit over Ukraine between Russian President Vladimir Putin and his U.S. counterpart, President Joe Biden. A